Culture Corner, the show where we review all things pop culture. My name is Zach Ruste.
And I'm Margaret.
And today we will be taking a look at Mulan 2.
Yep. Mulan 2 is a 2004 American direct-to-video Disney animated film directed by Del Rooney, as well as Lynn Sutherland, and it's a sequel to the 1998 animated film Mulan.
1 month after the first movie, General Li Shang, who's played by B.D. Wong, asks for Mulan's hand in marriage, who's played by Ming-Na Wen, with her singing voice provided by Lee Solonga, who also provided the voice for Jasmine.
Yep, and also the entire cast from the first film returned, except for Eddie Murphy, who had played Mushu in the first one. Miriam Margolyes, who's the matchmaker. Chris Sanders was the little brother. James Hung was Chief Fu, and Matthew Wilder was also Ling's singing voice.
When she does get married, which is bad news for Mushu, who's played by Mark Mosley, because once Mulan gets married, then Mushu is out of a job as guardian because one of the ancestors tell him that as soon as Mulan gets married, then Shang's husband's guardians take over.
Yep. And Murphy and Margolyes were replaced by Mark Mosley and April Winchell, respectively, of course. And Gere Watanabe does his own singing for the sequel. And the animation was co-produced by Walt Disney Animations, Japan Incorporated, SD Entertainment Incorporated, Wong Film Productions Company, and various other companies. And basically, Mulan and her new fiancé, General Li Shang, were on a special mission escorting the Emperor's three daughters, Mei, Ting, and Su, across the country to meet their soon-to-be fiancés. And it talks about arranged marriages, loyalty, relationships, making choices, trust, and finding true love, which is like kind of basically what they talked about in the movie.
Yep, the Emperor's daughters, Mei, Ting, and Su, are played by, Mei is played by Lucy Liu, Su is played by Lauren Tom, and Ting is Mei is played by Lucy Liu, Su is played by Lauren Tom, and Ting is played by Sandra Oh, respectively.
Mm-hmm. And I enjoy the movie and the music. However, Mushu is acting out of character a lot throughout the movie, because if Mulan married, then Mushu would no longer be a family guardian, and he also tries to break up Mulan and Shang, which is not the best way to go about it. I mean, I know how he feels, but maybe he didn't know what else to do or how else to handle it, but he shouldn't be breaking them up. And I found the movie to be really good when in the beginning, with the Mulan and the kids, and the song and the music, and also just the animation. So those were the parts that I found good, but not what I just mentioned about Mushu, because it's out of character and it's not like how he was in the first movie.
Yep, and also with the ancestor, the ancestor's attitude didn't really help matters either. because when the ancestors told Mushu that he would be out of a job, they were cruelly gloating about it, and even thinking of having a party once he's gone.
Which I didn't think was handled very well either. Nothing, in my opinion, will beat the original Mulan, because I felt like there were too many pros and cons to this one to say that I loved it or that it was great. And I kind of feel like the girls who have to have the arranged marriages are kind of in the same position as Jasmine from Aladdin, having to marry someone that you're forced to marry. So it was very similar to that.
The only thing with their marriage, with their arranged marriage, is according in the movie, it said that if they don't get married to these three princes in 3 days, then their alliance will crumble and the Mongols will invade.
Yep, that's one of the downs of this movie. There's a song called Other Girls, and it explains that the princesses want to marry someone they like and not to be forced. They still want to be princesses, but marry someone else who likes them for them and who lets them be themselves. And they probably don't realize what Zach just talked about being married and how the kingdom is going to turn out and the consequences of what happens if they don't do the arranged marriage in 3 days. So maybe they didn't realize or didn't know. Mulan is shown to be idolized by many of the local kids, especially the young girls, as a result of her heroics. Though Chi-Fu, the Emperor's misogynist council, doesn't really like her very much, and Mushu got really worried throughout the movie, like I said, but he just didn't go about it in the best way, and eventually Mulan found out, and he just does all this out of character throughout the movie, and it just wasn't the same Mushu, but he kind of was his old self at the end of the movie.
And also some of the humor kind of fell flat because a lot of the humor didn't really make sense.
No, it didn't. If Mulan and Shang, like we were saying, didn't complete the mission in 3 days, the alliance would crumble and China would be completely destroyed. It's just not the same as the first one. There's just a lot of pros and cons to it, and that's why I can't really say that it was a very good movie or a really good movie. I just like the good parts that were good, but then there's the cons to it, which I can't really say that I loved it as a whole.
I mean, when Mulan 2 is standing on its own 2 feet, then it's a really good movie when it's standing on its own.
Yep.
But as a sequel to the original Mulan, I really cannot. I mean, it's only just okay.
Yep. Because there's too many pros and cons, and there's an equal number of pros and cons. I mean, they balance each other. Not in a good way, but just to say that you like it, but just that there's too many pros and cons to say that you like it, but they just balance each other enough just to say I like this movie for the good parts and the bad, the not so good parts in it.
And it's like what's holding Mulan 2 back is some of the characters are out of character, and also like some of the the very important parts of the story, like the alliance crumbling and the Mongols and everything. That's just like completely glossed over.
Yes, and also just they don't really get anywhere or show anything more of the princesses with the arranged marriage, and like whether they marry the other princes or not. I mean, they show that they're in love, but they don't really go further with it or show anything else with it. So because they figured, oh, people will just figure that they married the princes. But I think for a film like this, with the amount of pros and cons that it has, that they should show that just for clarification and confusion purposes. So, maybe they thought that maybe people would just assume or think that, but I think that they should just clarify that in the movie so people can see, to avoid any questions or wondering, or people aren't kind of left questioning it.
So anyway, Shang does end up Mulan and Shang do end up getting married, and then Shang decides to combine Mulan and Shang's families together so Mushu could keep his job.
Yep, and Mulan basically almost went through with the marriage that she was going to go through with Lord Shi's son, but is stopped by the Golden Dragon of Unity, and actually Mushu was imitating the dragon by speaking inside of it, and Mushu was allowed to keep his title as a family guardian, and Shang now knows who Mushu is, and they lived pretty well after in the end.
So, is there anything else to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it, except my rating for the movie. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 5 out of 10.
I would also rate Mulan 2 a 5 out of 10.
Yep.
Because there were some elements to the movie that is holding it back.
Yep, and the number of pros and cons were equal, but it wasn't a movie that I could say that I really enjoyed it or that I loved it.
So, thank you for joining us for Pop Culture Corner today.
Yep.
And Margaret, if you would tell the audience what our next review is going to be.
Okay, so for our next movie review, we are going to be visiting The Rescuers Down Under for our next movie review.
So stay tuned. And this is Zach Ruste.
This is Margaret.
Signing out.